Welcome back to USD 107. This segment will cover supporting crew roles, incident reporting, FAA inspections, and SUAS registration. Let's start with crew roles. The PSC is in charge of the mission and must stay in control at all times. Not only are you responsible for yourself, but you're responsible for your crew members. You need to be sure that you're mentally and physically well, and so are your crew members. So if your visual observer shows up hungover from the night before, have them set out that day. The person who doesn't hold a remote pilot certificate may still operate the flight controls as long as they are directly supervised by a certified remote PSC who can immediately take control. The control can be transferred in several ways. One is a buddy box system, which is where two controls are connected. One being a master that the PSC would have control of so that they can take control over the flight at any time. Another way is stand close enough to physically take over, or you could have automated trigger safe mode like hover or return to home in autonomous flights. In autonomous operations, the drone follows a pre-programmed route with GPS using waypoints. Waypoints are the points that the drone will reach, turn around to go to the next point. This includes all dimensions: height, distance, direction, altitude, attitude. Remote PSC must always retain the ability to intervene by manual or automated commands. You want to make sure that you have programmed your drone to do what you want in case you lose connection. You want it to circle in place, hover, return to home. You want it to return to home. Make sure that you have your return home altitude set at a safe altitude to return. If you're flying at 100 feet and lose connection and it is set to return home at 300 feet, it will climb to 300 feet before returning to you. This can be an issue if there are other aircraft in the area or there are trees. So keep that in mind when you are doing your pre-flight check, which needs to be done before every flight. Also, whenever a drone returns to change the battery, you need to do a pre-flight check as well. Visual observers are optional, but they're very valuable. They help maintain visual line of sight and alert crew to hazards. The remote PSC must ensure that all visual observers can see the drone constantly and and can communicate effectively with the PSC and the crew. VOs scan the sky and the area for hazards. So the PSC is in control. They have to keep the focus on the flight and keep the drone in visual line of sight. People try to approach the crew. It is the VO's job to address the people. You'll have people who are curious about what you're doing approach you. Depending on your location, it will happen more often than not. Sometimes there may be more than one or two visual observers, depending on your mission. The binoculars can be used for situational awareness. They can't be used to ensure that you have visual line of sight. Your mission may require there to be a visual observer beside of you, monitoring a screen, one that's several meters away from you, and another that may be several meters away from you. Two-way radios come in handy for situations like this. So keep that in mind when you're preparing for your missions. You're working with first responders to locate a missing person. So a mission like that can include several people. It's crucial that you are flying your mission to the best of your ability. There will likely be several law enforcement present, as well as family members, media, and the general public. You and your crew must stay focused and you can't be distracted by anyone approaching to ask questions. You should keep their distance from the control station, except to your visual observer, to keep the people away so that you can stay focused on your flight. They manage the area around the control station. So the media may try to ask questions, as well as family members of the person that you're looking for. It's important to keep your composure and not really let them know what you see. So you need to be prepared for bad outcomes. If the person you were looking for ends up being deceased, you and your crew will be the first people to know that. So you can't let people see your reactions to that, because they will be watching you. Also, you have to keep your safety of you and your crew in mind. Say if you are helping law enforcement find someone who is a fugitive in the woods or who has kidnapped people, you don't want them tracking the drone back to your location. It'd be dangerous. Of course, you'll have law enforcement around to protect you, but you don't want people who are dangerous coming toward your crew. You are responsible for the safety of your crew. So you need to be doing pre-flight checks and pre-briefing. Everyone who is in your crew needs to know all the details about the mission, and you need to do a mission debriefing. We'll talk more about that later, but that's good to keep in mind when you're thinking about your supporting roles and your crew members. Next, we will talk about accident reporting. The remote PSE must report any SUAS accident within 10 days to the FAA Regional Operations Office. If there is serious injury, level 3 on the abbreviated injury scale, or property damage that exceeds $500. The abbreviated injury scale is a system made by the Association for the Advancement of Automative Medicine and used by emergency medical personnel, and ranks injuries on a scale from 1 to 6. 1 being minor injury, 2 being moderate injury, 3 being a serious injury, 4 being severe, 5 is critical, and 6 is non-survivable. If a person requires hospitalization for something that is fully recoverable, it is considered a serious injury. After you report to the FAA, it may require you to also report to the National Transportation Safety Board. These are the people who come in when there's a plane crash. So if these people are showing up, then you know that it's really serious. So what you need to report during an accident is the SUAS remote pilot's name and contact information, the PIC's FAA Airman Certificate number, the SUAS registration number issued to the aircraft, the location of the accident, the date of the accident, time of the accident, persons injured and the extent of injury, property damage and the extent of damage, and description of what happened. So even though you have 10 days to report this, do it as soon as you can. The longer that you take to report, the more suspicious it looks. Someone from the FAA at any time may ask to inspect your SUAS. When that happens, you must work with them, as well as local law enforcement if they ask to see your documentation. You'll want to have this ready whether you're going to be inspected or not. You want to have your pilot certificate, aircraft registration, any necessary waiver or exemptions, and it doesn't hurt to have your flight log with you as well. So if your drone is greater than 0.55 pounds and less than 55 pounds, and operated under provisions of Part 107, the owner must satisfy the registration requirements described in Part 47, aircraft registration, or Part 48, registration and marking requirements for small unmanned aircraft. So they will give you a registration number. I think it costs $5 every time that you register one. It has to be written on the outside. It's got to be legible and clear and be able to be seen without any aid. So that includes this segment. I'll return in the next one, and we'll start with remote identification.